at this point, this is just an excuse for me to talk to myself, and that makes me consider whether or not I am losing my mind or have already lost my mind. Whatever, we're gonna keep rolling. So, welcome back to another one of these. I don't know what these are. Welcome back. Today's video is a little different. I think all the other videos I've done, I finished the book, but today I have not. So this is like a premature explanation of what I'm reading. And you will see why, because the behemoth that I am currently reading is Thomas Wolfe's You Can't Go Home Again. This absolute chunkster, I think this is 700 pages pretty much, is she dense. I've been reading it actually. Okay, I gotta come clean. I started reading this book around like in the winter, and it was during like probably the worst semester I've ever had at university, so this was, I couldn't really keep up, and it is an incredibly detailed book, an incredibly, like, it's so detailed, it's incessantly detailed, and I was not in the right state of mind to handle that then. So I took a break and I took a pause. This is why I read some short stories to keep myself occupied, because I was scared to return to this guy. But, I don't want to just own books, I want to read them too, and I'm trying my best. This is a classic. It's been hailed as a classic. I like Thomas Wolfe. I've never read any of his works in full, but I have read some of his prose, and it's dense. It's in a good way. But good God, is he somebody who really, I wouldn't say he's a tell not show guy. He does show you, but he gives you so much to work with. Like, the imagery is so vibrant, and it is quite transformative, and that comes as a bit of a problem sometimes when I'm trying to read this before bed and I'm just transported to Americana, like rural areas that are getting developed hella quickly in the 20s. By the way, I don't know what's the theme that's going on. Also 1920s. I think also 1921, in fact, which is straight up weird. This book's gonna take us through the Great Depression and the Second World War. This isn't historical fiction, it's just fiction from that era. Thomas Wolfe, he was around in the early 1900s. He passed away at, I think, 40, almost 40, via tuberculosis, if I'm not wrong. Gone too early. But this book is actually, so this was published after he passed away. And what his editors did is they found all these manuscripts, and they were finished essentially, and they decided to stitch it all together. And the result is this book, which is in of itself an amalgamation of 8 books. So if you ever go into the contents, you will actually see that, 7 books. It's split up into 7 books. I've only finished the first one. I'm going to tell you about it a little bit, nothing too much. I don't want to go crazy, but there are some thoughts in my head that are, it's a lot. Like, it's keeping me very busy, and it's kind of distracting me from things, so this is kind of an expulsion. Like, it's kind of like if your brain was allowed to fart, this is what this is, and I'm recording it and putting it on the internet, so essentially my YouTube account is an OnlyFans. Whatever. But in this first book, George Weber is our main character, and he is a writer who lives in New York. But he's not originally from New York. He is from a small ass, redneck ass small town called Libya Hill. And he recently just wrote a book about Libya Hill. Not quite about Libya Hill, but a fiction. What's the word when you turn something into fiction? Whatever. Um, it's embellished. It's not, you can't directly name characters and places. So it draws parallels to his own upbringing, which is in of itself tumultuous in the small town that he grew up in. That book got picked up by a publisher, and it's going to be published soon. But George has to go back home because of a family funeral. And so he gets to sort of cross paths with all these characters that he knew growing up again, see what's happened to the town, see what's happened to these people. And, he's trying to go home again. Name of the fucking book. What follows is interesting. He meets all these people and he sees how caught up they are in the whole pursuit of the American dream, this is around the time where your pre-Second World War American dream of, sell your land to developers, give this up, give that up, but bring in a lot of money in the sense of here's money in hand now, but you don't get to build a lot of wealth. So people just keep spending, buying things constantly. Y'all already know that leads to the Great Depression. High five. And he sees what an effect that has on a small town. He also sees how he doesn't really have a place in that town. Not really. And that's really what happens when you leave home. You've left this version, this state that you remember, but it's never going to exist again, especially like when you're gone for a really long time. That state is the state that you left it in it's dynamic. It's never going to stay that way. So the version of your home that you leave no longer exists for you to go back to. That sent me down a fucking spiral. It's not a spiral, like a lot of thoughts. I've had, I struggle a lot with, or have struggled a lot with finding my home, finding where my home is. I've struggled with calling places my home. And so I've been thinking about that. I'm trying to write about it. We'll see where that goes. It's just straight up slop right now, but we'll see. And so that's probably a big thing, being inspired by this book. Again, we're like, if all the books were chapters, we're only in the first chapter, even though it's already like 150 pages, but whatever. Dense ass chapters, but the books also have they're straight up books, and they have chapters, and they have like 4 chapters per book, I guess, or 5 chapters per book. Yeah. This is gonna be, I'm here, bro. I have commitment issues. This is gonna take me a long time. So, I'm not gonna do like a book by book video. It's just like, the whole point of this is to talk to myself about stuff that's on my mind. This is what's been on my mind. We'll see how the next chapters go. I sort of know what's coming up now. So much detail. But, some travels are going to be happening. This guy's going to go on a self-finding journey, but where I left off, again, he is still back at home, and he tells people about the book he's writing and he's written, and it's going to be published. Actually, they find out, and they know that it's inspired by Libya Hill, and he realizes how poorly he has treated his own characters, in the sense of how the image that he's painted of this town, even though it might not be false, it is not a very flattering image of the people in that town. And so he is overcome with shame and guilt of just the way, like, the fact that he's doing injustice to these people, and in a sense, like, yes, he doesn't owe them anything, but he also doesn't have the right to sort of, what's the word? Defame, libel. This is sort of like libel, even though these are inferences. They're never actually explicitly named in the book, but in a small town, people can figure out who is who. And just the way Wolfe writes about the feeling of shame and the feeling of guilt is quite incredible. I recently had a journal entry where I was trying to talk about my own guilt, my own shame, more so shame than guilt, I would say. But I was struggling a lot to put it into words, and to me, it's like this vat of tar that I am sinking in, and I'm like splashing around in it because I don't know how to swim, and I get like splashes on other people who shouldn't be implicated in this, but they are. That's the best way I've ever tried to talk about my guilt. Not really awesome. The Wolf has this paragraph here that I read twice and read a couple of times. Usually when I like a line in a book, I'll just sort of underline it in the middle of the thing. You can't even see that. But every once in a while I'll have like a paragraph with a triple bracket. My favorite bracket. And it'll be like a fancy one. It doesn't actually count as a bracket, I guess, because I never closed the bracket, which in math would get me shot and killed, but whatever. Allow me to read you this little bracket. Thus he fled across the immeasurable and barren heath beneath a burning sky, an exile in the center of a planetary vacancy, which, like his own shameful self, had no place either among things living or among things dead, and in which there was neither vengeance of lightning nor mercy of burial. For in all that limitless horizon there was no shade or shelter, no curve or bend, no hill or tree or hollow. There was only one vast naked eye, searing and inscrutable, from which there was no escape, and which bathed his defenseless soul in its fathomless depths of shame. Is that how I feel? No. I don't think I feel shame and guilt to that sharp intensity of this perpetual sort of Big Brother-esque, oh, you can't escape shame because it's always watching. I wouldn't say that, but I've felt that way in the past. Not currently, though. But it's a very accurate description of what happens when feeling of shame just takes hold of every aspect of your life, and it's this looming shadow all over you or constantly. And I don't know, I think people talk about shame, books talk about shame. I read a Brene Brown book like a year ago almost, I guess, where she talked about shame in a really nice way, but that's more of a explaining what it is. Feeling it, the metaphors for it, I think Wolfe did it really well. I don't want this one to be too long, so I'm gonna cut it off there. I'm excited to read this. I'm busy, but I'm gonna make time for it because it is genuinely, after a while, it's hard to put the book down. It's just when I picked it up, it was not the best time to pick it up. So I have some time to myself now, and I am resting, not rotting. So hopefully I can spend more time with Wolfe. Also, certified baddie. Okay, certified baddie. That's a chunky man, and he's like, okay, he's dead. He died of tuberculosis 100 years ago, so we shouldn't say that. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna pick up any other books until I'm done with this, so I'm gonna slowly make my way through it. I am thinking of not content for the YouTube channel, but for myself. I like the idea of making videos. It's been fun. I have another friend who's doing it as well, and he inspires me to continue making these, I suppose. It's a good way to, I don't know, it's a good way to process things, I suppose. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe that writing I'm doing on Home, might end up going somewhere. I did write about Hope recently too. That one's straight up ass. Nobody's seeing that ever, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Short film, maybe. perchance. Just to see just how fucking pretentious I can get, I guess. It's way past my bedtime. I just had to talk about it, I guess. Think about home. Think about home for yourself. I sent my friend a screenshot of what I was writing to show him like something funny that I wrote, and he jokingly said that, oh, you would do so well in therapy. And that's probably true. But I find that therapy is often, it's an outlet to go where you go there and you talk about how you're feeling and how you're thinking, and it's a chance to feel seen and validated, and perhaps also get opinions and diagnoses of things that are not wrong with you, but things that are happening to you. This isn't a stand-in for therapy, although I should probably consider it, but I think with these, it's less about feeling seen and validated for me, and more about feeling less alone. Not that I'm feeling lonely, but less alone in the sense that, oh, it's not just me who thinks about shit like this. There's other people who also worry about guilt and shame and what your home is and what your purpose is and how gay are you and stuff like that. So, yeah. If we get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to sign myself up in therapy. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that bell icon. Let's get this girl some clinical help. I'm gonna kill myself. No, I'm not gonna kill myself. I jest. I love you. Hope you had a great day. I hope you're having a great day every day. Love you 2 bits and pieces. And yeah. Video 4. Okay. Bye-bye.